I'm Taylor, and today I'm going to talk to you guys about apartment hunting in Boston and my personal experience and the lessons that I learned along the way. Quick note about the footage that I used for this video. I get very nervous and I feel kind of awkward recording people's spaces while I'm touring them, especially when the tenants are actually there. So if you see the footage be kind of choppy and like messed up with me trying to match it with the words or like slow down, no you didn't. You didn't see that. I just thought I'd put this message at the front just so you know what you're getting into. This video is very informative and I think it can be pretty helpful for some people. But I just wanted to let you know that the footage is a little bit wonky in some places. Earlier this year, my roommates and I realized that this apartment wasn't really a good fit for us. We didn't really like the building that much, and just overall we weren't super enthused about living here. So we decided that we would make a move. So we began looking for a place in December of 2020. We wanted to move in September 1st of 2021. We quickly learned that this was too early to be looking for fall 2021 places, but it did give us a good way to understand how to talk to realtors, how to schedule tours, how to communicate with each other about what we wanted in a place, and it just basically let us preview how the whole experience is. If you're looking for your lease to start in the fall, I would recommend starting to look in January, which we did not do. There are several neighborhoods to choose from around Northeastern. North of Northeastern is Back Bay / Fenway. These are the typical brownstones that you think of when you think of Boston. They're near Whole Foods and shopping, closer to the Charles River, but they are the most expensive and they're generally pretty small because all of these buildings were built in like the 1800s over there. South of campus you have Roxbury, which is more typical row homes, larger and more noisy streets. Honestly, it's not really as safe. Just because there's like less college students living over there. Also, it's a majority minority area, so people deem it as unsafe. We can get into that another time. East of campus you have South End, which is also pricier like Back Bay. It's a bit of a walk from campus usually just to get to like apartments over there. It does also feel farther because there's less students, but overall it's just similar to Back Bay price point wise and size wise. And then west of campus you have Mission Hill, which is where you get the biggest bang for your buck. You can like rent out whole houses there. That's where Greek life is generally, like where fraternities and stuff live, but it's like a walk to campus. But when you're over there, it does feel like a college town just because like it's like basically only college students over there. And then northwest, like I kind of mentioned earlier, is the Fens. If you walk across the Fens, you get to like Fenway Park and all the housing over there, which is like typical apartments and stuff. But we just weren't interested in looking over there just because it's a good price, but we don't want to walk through a park late at night. In terms of the neighborhoods that we were looking in, we didn't really look in South End just because of how far it is. We were mostly sticking to Back Bay, the Roxbury area, and a little bit of Mission Hill, but we didn't actually go on a tour of any places that were in Mission Hill. What we were looking for in terms of an apartment, 3 to 4 bedrooms, we were looking to spend about $4,000 to $4,800 per month. We also wanted a place that was within safe walking distance from campus, not on the first floor, just for safety reasons, windows with a lot of light, and a place that was not a split. And this is something that you definitely need to look out for if you're a college student shopping for apartments. A split is when, I'll just give you an example of a split. So it's listed as a 4-bedroom apartment. You get there, there's no living room. So you wonder, where's the living room? And then they tell you that they use one of the bedrooms as a living room. So it's basically a 3-bedroom apartment that you're paying for, like it's a 4-bedroom apartment when you don't even get a living room. It's like that. Not interested in those. So we toured one accidentally and it was uncomfortable because we just didn't want to be there. So the places that we looked for listings on was Zillow, apartments.com, and the Northeastern off-campus housing apartment website. We also used a Google spreadsheet to keep track of the places that we visited, just so it was easy and it was all in one place, especially because 2 of us are in the same apartment right now. 1 of us is in Thailand and 1 of us is living at home in the suburbs because she's on co-op. So apartment number 1 was in Roxbury, and we visited this back in December, so like way too early. It was technically a 3-bed, 2-bath, but the basement, they were using that as a bedroom. So 2 of us would have to split that basement room. It was multiple levels, so 3 floors total, and about $1,000 per person, I think. I didn't really write it down. We'll get into why. So it was like $4,000 total per month. Pros, it had an in-unit washer dryer, which is so nice. It was multiple floors, and I grew up in the suburbs, so I'm used to like walking up the stairs in my own home all the time, and I miss it whenever I'm like living in an apartment. Updated kitchen, hardwood floors, really cool spiral staircase, and exposed brick, which I thought was really pretty. And it had a little patio, which I thought was super cute. But into the cons, the location was not great. It was across Tremont Street, which if you're not from Boston or from Northeastern, it's like a pretty wide and pretty busy street. And none of us felt comfortable crossing that every day, like at 7:30 in the morning to get to an 8 a.m. or as late as like midnight or 1 a.m. Also, it had tiny bedrooms. And a tiny bathroom. So 2 people splitting the basement alone was just like not, it wouldn't cut it. And then the 2 people on the top floor, they were the tiniest rooms I'd ever seen. Someone put their desk in a closet and it was not cute at all. It was a very vertical home, if that makes sense, and we just weren't into it, so I didn't really write down any of the information. Also in December, we visited another apartment. This was apartment number 2 in Back Bay. It was a 4-bedroom, 1-bath, $5,500 per month, which when split evenly is about $1,375 per person. So it was over our budget, but it was 1,400 square feet, which I think is pretty spacey for the most part. We really loved the location. It was in Back Bay and it was like a block from campus. I think after this we started looking at only apartments in like the Back Bay, Fenway area. It had laundry in building in the basement. It had a super cute fireplace also in the living room. Large windows, which means that we would get plenty of natural light, and there were high ceilings throughout the whole place, and an updated kitchen. Some of the cons though is that, as I mentioned, it was over budget, and one room was really small and it had no closet. They had pest problems. All of the places in Back Bay have pest problems. There's a lot of rats over there because it's right by Kennedy Hall, and a lot of rats over there. Like that side of campus gets a lot of rats. Well, everywhere around campus gets a lot of rats. I saw a rat in the library like my freshman year when I was like eating in there, and I've only been to Snell 2 times since. The back-facing rooms faced an alley, and the alley itself didn't really get a lot of light. Also, the broker was not great. He was like kind of sketchy when we were like working with him and trying to make a tour. Overall, I think we could have made this apartment work if we split it up by like who was in which room and maybe went through like a different broker or something. Yet again, we were looking like way too early. We weren't actually ready to commit and like sign a place. We also weren't talking to each other properly at this point. Yeah, we just kind of lost out on this apartment, which I think was actually really nice. So, apartment number 3, also in Back Bay. This was literally the perfect apartment. It was 3-bedroom, 1-bath, and $3,900 per month. It was legit perfect. Like the double room was huge. It had so much natural light. It had an updated kitchen that was pretty big too. It was just a really great apartment with super high ceilings, and it looked super nice on paper, and it was like checking off all our boxes. So we scheduled a tour. We had to coordinate and figure out a date that worked, so we pushed it back to later in the week than when the realtor suggested to us, and we're waiting outside and we get a call and the realtor's like, someone just put down an application and the deposit, so we can't show you this property. That was when we learned how fast the market moves. Luckily, the realtor was able to show us an apartment in the same building. So this was the actual apartment number 3. It's a 4-bedroom, 1-bath, and $5,100 per month, so about $1,275 per person, which is basically within budget. And if we like split it up based on the different room sizes, because they varied a lot, it would probably fit into our budget somehow. One room was really small, and then one room was absolutely huge. The biggest room had a lot of natural light and it was street facing, and 2 people comfortably fit in there. Also, the footage that I'm using here is from the realtor because when we visited, I couldn't record because the tenants weren't comfortable with it, which I get, it's totally fine. It has a nice view of the Prudential Center and a bunch of other stuff from the kitchen, even though it does face the back alley. The kitchen was also recently updated like a year ago, and the utilities, according to the current tenants, are pretty affordable. So yeah, it was pretty great. But the cons are that the bathroom is unfinished. The landlord hadn't gotten around to it yet, so only the kitchen was updated, and the bathroom still had like a clawfoot tub, which is great in theory, but when you need to take a shower is a hassle, and you need like 3 shower curtains to cover it, or else water will leak through the floor into the people below you. It has had pest problems. The current tenants have a cat, and they noticed that the rats stopped coming by. There's no laundry in the building or in unit, so we would have to go to a laundromat next door. After that, we visited apartment number 4. This is also in the same neighborhood of Back Bay. It was a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and $4,700 per month, which would be about $1,250 for singles, $1,100 for the people splitting and making a double room. Also, the realtor, who had such huge frat boy energy, it was really weird because he was like the same age as us. He said that they might take off $100 to $200 for rent, so that was nice. Square footage is 999 square feet, and you could definitely tell the living room, kitchen, and pantry were all huge and got plenty of natural light, although we visited this at night, so you can't really tell. The rooms were too small to make a double though, so all the space that was put into the kitchen and living room was taken from the bedrooms, and I honestly don't know which one Ari and I would split because they were all basically the same size and there was only one person living in them, so it was kind of hard to imagine and like visualize how we would set it up. Also, it wasn't really street view and it had a really small bathroom. I wasn't really vibing with this apartment, even though we could kind of visualize hosting a lot of people over there. I just didn't see myself wanting to like stick around in like a place that had such small bedrooms. So apartment number 5 was also in Back Bay. It was actually in the same building. This one was 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms, so the rent was a little bit higher. It was $5,000 per month, which would be about $1,400 for a single and $1,100 for a double. And the realtor again said that he might take off $150 to $200. Square footage? I don't know. But pros, there was laundry downstairs. I forgot to mention that about the other apartment, but both of them had laundry downstairs because they're in the same building. It had fairly large windows and equally sized bedrooms. Also, since it was on like the 2nd floor, it was like on the 1st floor, but it was like raised, but it was easy to access, so less stairs to walk up and down, and also easy to move into, which you don't realize until move-in day. You gotta move a couch in, and that's kind of hard. Cons, it had really weird lighting. It was kind of lit like an Urban Outfitters. I don't think I vibe with that a lot. It had way less closets, it wasn't really street facing at all, and the bedrooms were equally sized but tiny. And I love Ari, but I can't have my beds foot to foot. I don't want to touch her feet while I sleep. That was the end of our apartment hunt. We visited 5 apartments, and the apartment that we went with was apartment number 3, the one in Back Bay that was in the same building as the one that we were going to tour, but then we didn't. So we went with this apartment. It was a little bit over budget. It was $1,275 per person. So we figured out how to divide up rent before we applied and leased. Basically just decided that I would take the smallest room and have that rent be $1,200, and then each room got bigger until the biggest room. So we just had it increase by increments of 50. So $1,200, $1,250, $1,300, $1,350 for the biggest one. I texted the realtor Raj. I was like, hey, we want to apply for this place. And then the timeline for that was we submitted an application and first month's rent with co-signers for each of us on February 10th, and then by February 14th we signed the lease. Just for reference, we toured the place February 7th. So things move fast, and this was a lot to do, especially because time differences. So this was a very stressful period of my semester. If you are looking for a place, you need to have like 3 to 4 months rent ready up front, because we've had to pay so many different fees. Let me just tell you the different fees that we've had to pay. So we had to pay first month's rent with the application. Last month came a bit later. Then we had to pay the security deposit, which was equal to 1 month's rent. Broker fee, which was also equal to 1 month's rent. Application fee, which is $50 for each of us, so times 4, it's $200. And then a key fee, which is $200. Also, I negotiated with him to have the fee dates like pushed back. They're originally supposed to be due within like the month of submitting our application. So by mid-March, we were supposed to have paid like a lot of like $20,000 or something, I don't even know. But I had them moved so that they would be due at the end of March, which was pretty nice and gave us a bit of breathing room. In total, we had to pay 4 months rent. So we signed the lease and that's how we got an apartment. It's kind of funny how the one place that I didn't record a video of myself is the place that we wound up living in. So I'm sorry that you had to deal with that footage. Obviously, I'll give you a good apartment tour once we move in. And maybe I'll get a cat to get rid of the rats. So recap, what are the lessons that we learned through this? Start looking in January. Use Zillow or apartments.com or whatever site for off-campus apartments that your college may offer. The market moves super fast, so if you think that you're interested in a place, just send one person over to tour it and then have them take a pretty quality video. If you're looking in a group, communicate often and honestly. Also talk about the budget up front so you know what you're supposed to be looking for and what margins and wiggle room you have in terms of price. Have 3 to 4 months rent ready, or have one person with all of that ready if possible. Forgot to mention this earlier, but documents that you have to submit. If you are a US citizen, you will need a scan of your driver's license to submit. If you're an international student, they'll probably ask for your F1 visa, and also you'll need a scan of your passport. Also, it's best if you have international students that at least one of them has a co-signer that's from the US. So me and Melanie are from here, so our co-signers were our parents, so they were from the US, so that worked out for us. Anyway, I've been waffling on for like 30 minutes straight, so I hope that you found this video helpful. This was definitely an experience for me. Thank you for listening. Thank you for spending your time here with me. And I'm gonna go. Bye.